In this video, we will be going over the solutions for the end of Chapter 1 test review, 6th grade. Question 1. The ratio of softball players to baseball players at the athletic league is 4:5. If there are 32 softball players at the athletic league today, how many baseball players are there? This is a ratio question, and we are comparing softball players to baseball players. So we're going to write this in fraction form. We have softball, and we're going to compare that to baseball. The ratio is 4 softball players to 5 baseball players. So I'm going to put 4 on the top and 5 on the bottom. Remember, this is not a real fraction, because in a real fraction, you are comparing something on the top to in all at the bottom. So the bottom would be a total. We are just using fractions here to compare and complete a ratio, but it's not actually a true fraction. Our problem continues. If there are 32 softball players, how many baseball players do we have? So I'm going to put 32 at the top and a question mark at the bottom. Now I'm going to solve by making this an equivalent fraction. I multiply 4 by 8 to get 32. So I'm going to multiply 5 by 8, and that gives me 40. So there are 40 baseball players, which is answer choice B. Question number 2. At a sports camp, there is 1 counselor for every 12 campers. If there are 156 campers attending the camp, which equivalent ratios could be used to find the number of counselors? What we are comparing here are counselors, the number of counselors, and the number of campers. So I'm going to use a fraction, or use ratios in fraction form, to solve this problem. So I have counselors on top and campers. Now, it doesn't really matter which you put on the top or the bottom, but you need to make sure that you're consistent throughout your problem. Well, the ratio they give me is 1 counselor to 12 campers. And then our question is asking us, what if we have 156 campers attending? Which equivalent ratio could be used to find the number of counselors? Well, here I have my little problem. So I want to find out which one matches that. And it looks like we have solution G. Now, in this problem, they're not asking you to solve it. They're just asking you which problem has the ratio set up correctly. And it would be answer choice G. Now, if you wanted to solve this problem, you'd have to ask yourself, what do I have to multiply 12 by to get 156? And that would be multiplying by 13. So I could multiply 1 by 13. So the answer would be 13 counselors if you were being asked to solve the problem. But like I said earlier, they just want you to set up the ratio. Question number 3. A carjack requires a force of 110 pounds to lift a 2,500 pound car. In simplest form, what is the ratio of the car's weight to the force required to lift the car? So our question is asking us, what is the ratio of the car's weight to the force required to lift the car? And they want us to put this in simplest form. Order matters in ratios. So they want us to put the car's weight first and then the force. If I put that in fraction form, this means the car's weight's on top and the force is on the bottom. So we have the car's weight over the force. In my problem, I see that the car weighs 2,500 pounds, and the force needed to lift that car would be 110 pounds. To simplify this ratio, I can divide the top by 10 and the bottom by 10. And I would get 250 over 11. You do not need to reduce it any further than that because you would get a mixed number or maybe a decimal. So it's okay to leave it like this. Now, some students would be uncomfortable because this is an improper fraction, and that's okay. You could also write it with the word 2, or you could write it with a colon. So each of these would be correct answers, and they're all in simplest form. A baker is making an oversized sheet cake for a school dance. The recipe calls for 2 cups of sugar for every 3 cups of flour. How many cups of flour are needed if she is using 18 cups of sugar? As you can see, we are comparing sugar and flour. So I'm going to set up my ratio, sugar to flour. Now we're going to place into our problem what we know. We know that the recipe calls for 2 cups of sugar, so I'm going to put 2 cups on top, and 3 cups of flour, so I'm going to put 3 cups on the bottom. That's the rate that they gave us. Now for our question. How many cups of flour are needed if she's using 18 cups of sugar? So am I going to put the 18 on the top or the bottom? I'm going to put it on the top because it's sugar. And our question is asking us how many cups of flour do we need? So that's going to go right here when I solve my problem. Now I can take a look at this problem like it's an equivalent fraction problem. 2 times 9 equals 18. 3 times 9 equals 27. So she's going to need 27 cups of flour, which is answer choice A. Question number 5. Which rate gives the best price for dog food? Brand A is 6 pounds for $36. Brand B is 5 pounds for $40. Brand C is 2 pounds for $20. And brand D is 3 pounds for $15. Now our problem is I can't just look at the price because each price goes with a different amount of dog food. This is where we have to use unit pricing. And we have to say, well, how much does it cost for just 1 pound? Well, if 6 pounds costs $36, I can do 36 divided by 6, and that would give me $6 for 1 pound. I'm actually going to use a different LB for 1 pound. I can do $40 divided by 5, and brand B would be $8 per pound. $20 divided by 2 pounds equals $10 per pound. And $15 for 3 pounds, 15 divided by 3 is $5 per pound. Okay. So now I can see, this is called a unit rate. How much is it for 1 unit? And our unit just happens to be pounds. So for 1 unit or 1 pound, how much does it cost? And as you can see, brand D is the least expensive because it's just $5 for 1 pound of food. Question 6. Which of the following ratios is equivalent to 2/11ths? So what we can do is we can write 2/11ths next to each one of these and see if they are equivalent fractions. So let's take our first one. 1 times 2 is 2. Is 5 times 2 11? No. So A is not correct. 4 times 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2. Is 44 divided by 2 11? No, it's 22. Here, I'm hoping you can see that this is not equivalent at all. Another way that you could determine if something's equivalent is by cross-multiplying. 11 times 5 is 55, and 16 times 2 is 32, and obviously they're not equivalent. Now here, I could do 6 divided by 3 equals 2, and 33 divided by 3 equals 11. So answer choice B is equivalent. Question number 7. The table shows the number of whole wheat flour required to make dog biscuits. Number of dog biscuits, 10. Missing number, 35. Cups of whole wheat flour, 2. Missing number, and this would symbolize that that's probably what we're going to have to solve for. So let's take a look at the chart. It looks like we need 2 cups of flour to make 10 dog biscuits. How many cups of whole wheat flour are required to make 35 biscuits? So I'd have to put that right here. Now, we're just solving problems using equivalent fractions, but it's kind of hard to figure out what you have to multiply 10 by to get 35. It's going to be, a decimal type answer. So actually it would be times 3.5. Okay, there's an easier way. We know that 2 cups of flour equal 10 dog biscuits, so how much would 1 cup of flour equal? Well, that would be 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 1 times 5 is 5. All right, so for every 1 cup of flour, we get 5 dog biscuits. So if I'm multiplying going up, I have to divide going down. So I'm going to divide by 5. 35 divided by 5 equals 7. And 7 times 5 equals 35. So charts work horizontally, but they also work vertically. So if I take the bottom number and multiply it, I get the top number. So if I multiply by the same factor, I should get the same rate. So the answer is you need 7 cups of flour. Question number 8. A school population was predicted to increase by 50 students a year for the next 10 years. If the current population is 700 students, what will the enrollment be after 10 years? So we have 700 students, and over the course of 10 years, the population is going to increase by 50 each of those 10 years. So that would be 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. Okay. All right. So that's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 50 times 10 equals 500. 700 plus 500 equals 1,200. So the total population should be 1,200 students, and that is answer choice H. Question number 9. There are 12 boys and 15 girls in your class. 4 new students, 3 boys and 1 girl, join your class. Compare the ratio of boys to girls before and after the new students enrolled. This problem can be solved using a chart. So we have boys and we have girls. Now to start, there are 12 boys and 15 girls to start. Now we're going to add 4 new students. We're going to add 3 boys. So 3 plus 12 means now I have 15 boys and 1 girl. So we add 1 to the 15 down here and I get 16. Compare the ratio of boys to girls. So they want us to have boys on top, girls on the bottom. So we'd have 12 over 15, and we're going to compare that to 15 over 16. Okay? Now, they basically want us to see which ratio is bigger. Okay, was there a bigger ratio of boys to girls or girls to boys before? Okay, now I can see that I have less boys than girls and less boys than girls. Okay, so now what you can do is we can reduce this fraction. I'm going to divide by 3, and I'm going to get 4/5. Now, unfortunately, I can't find a factor to divide by here that would work, so I'm just going to leave this 15 over 16. Now is a good time to use your cross multiplication to see which ratio is bigger. So we could do 16 times 4 and 15 times 5. So 16 times 4, 24, 4, 5, 64. So this is 64. And 15 times 5 is 75. Okay? 75 is bigger. So the ratio of boys to girls after is larger than before. So the ratio of boys to girls after the new students arrive is greater than before. Question number 10. The table shows the cost of different kinds of fruit. The fruits that we have are bananas, apples, oranges, grapes, and the cost per pound is 60 cents, $1.89, 99 cents, and $1. To the nearest cent, what is the cost of 3.5 pounds of grapes? Well, we have grapes are $1 a pound, so 3.5 pounds would be $3.50. Question 11. Mr. Reinard bought 5 pounds of feed for his chickens for $10. How much did the feed cost per pound in dollars? Now we always write money on the top and then whatever unit we're using to compare to the money on the bottom. So we put the cost over top of, in this case, pounds. So that's $10 for 5 pounds. Our question is asking us how much does it cost per pound? So that means for 1 pound. 5 divided by 5 equals 1. 10 divided by 5 equals 2. So it would be $2. So how much did the feed cost per pound in dollars? It costs $2 per pound. Question 12. The length of a track around a football field is 1/4 mile. How many miles do you walk if you walk 2 3/4 times around the track? Let's draw a picture of the track. Each lap around the track, so if I'm going to put a little star here, that's going to be my starting point. Each time I go around is going to be 1/4 of a mile. So I'm going to go around 1 time, and that's 1/4. I'm going to go around again, and that's 1/4. Now, I'm not going to go around the whole way. I'm going to go around 3/4 of the way. So we have to figure out what 3/4 of 1/4 is. And in this case, 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 4 is 16. You know this from 5th grade. So that would be 3/16. Now here, I want a 1/4 and a 1/4. So if I add that together, that would be 2/4. So now I need to add 3/16 plus 2/4. We need to have like denominators. So we're going to keep 16. Make this 16. That's times 4 times 4. So that's 8. 8, 9, 10, 11, 11/16. So if you go 2 3/4 times around this track, which is 1/4, you would go 11/16 of a mile. Question number 13. The bar graph below shows the average number of visitors to different websites during 1 month. Top 6 websites, we have website A, B, C, D, E, F, and millions of visitors. So it's not 2 visitors, it's 2 million visitors. And it's important to remember that this is saying in 1 month. So you might want to write per month here. How many visitors can website E expect to have in 1 year? This is website E. So they get 1.42 million visitors each month. There are 12 months in a year, so we have to multiply by 12. And this is a skill that you learned how to do in 5th grade. $17.04 million visitors in 1 year. Question number 14. Cesar's 6th grade class sorted books in the library. The class sorted 45 books in 90 minutes. Part A. Write an equivalent ratio to find how long it would take to sort 120 books. Part B. How many hours will it take the class to sort 120 books? Part C. Suppose their rate slowed to 30 books in 90 minutes. How long would it take the class to sort the 120 books? Explain your reasoning. The first ratio, when we go back, we're going to start at the beginning. Caesar's 6th grade class sorted books in the library. The class sorted 45 books in 90 minutes. Now these are big numbers, so we're going to try to simplify the ratio so we have smaller numbers to work with. So if we compare books that we're going to sort to minutes, and you usually put time on the bottom. Okay, so we have 45 books 290 minutes. Well, I can divide both the top and bottom numbers by 9, and that's going to give me 5 books in 10 minutes. And now I can divide by 5 again, and by 5 again, and that will give me 1 book in 2 minutes. All right? And that makes sense because 45 times 2 is 90. So if I go 45 times 2, I get 90, and 1 times 2 is 2. So this is the correct ratio. So for this problem, 1 book gets sorted every 2 minutes. Write an equivalent ratio to find how long it would take to sort 120 books. Well, we have books again and minutes. Our rate is 45 to 90, but we're going to use 1 to 2 because that's easier to work with. And we have 120 books, so that goes on top. So this is times 120. So this is times 120. So that's 240 minutes. How many hours will it take the class to sort 120 books? Well, we know it takes 240 minutes. So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So how many hours do I have for 240 minutes? Okay. So what you're going to end up having to do is figure out how do I get from 60 to 240, and you can do that by dividing. So we're going to do 240 divided by 60, okay? And that will be 40 for, 60 goes into 2, no times. 60 goes into 24, no times. 60 goes into 240, 4 times. That's 0, 2, 4, and 0. So it would be 4 hours. Part C. Suppose their rate slowed to 30 books in 90 minutes. So we have 30 books, 90 minutes, and I could divide by 3, and I'm going to get 10 books in 30, which divide by 10 is 1 book every 3 minutes. It's 1 book every 3 minutes. How long would it take the class to sort 120 books? So we're going to put 120 up here. So we multiply by 120, and we multiply by 120, okay? And you're going to get 360 minutes, okay? It would take 360 minutes to sort 120 books because each book will take 3 minutes to sort. Question 15. Baseballs to basketballs. Now, in the directions it says on your paper, it says to write it as a simplified ratio, and I believe it says to write it as a fraction. I'm going to write it as all 3. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 basketballs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 baseballs. So we can write 6 to 10. We can write 6, 10. Now to write this in simplest form, you would divide by 2. So that would be 3 to 5, 3 to 5, or 3 over 5. 12 kittens to puppies. You would have 12 to to 15, 12 to 15, and 12 to 15. But to simplify that, you could divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3, and you would get 4 over 5. So there'd be 4 kittens to 5 puppies. Question 17. At the ticket booth at a Florida Marlins game, 15 people wore turquoise, 24 people wore gray. What is the ratio of people who wore turquoise to the people who wore gray in simplest form? So we have turquoise comparing to gray, and that's 15 to 24. We're going to divide by 3 on the top, divide by 3 on the bottom, and we're going to get 5 to 8. And you can write 5 to 8 like this, or you can write 5 to 8, or 5 to 8. Manji surveyed 100 students about their favorite types of music. 25 students did not like dance music. Find the ratio of students who said they liked dance music to the total number of students surveyed. Okay, so she surveyed 100 people. 25 did not like dance. No dance music. So if 25 didn't like dance music, how many liked dance music? Well, 25 plus 75 equals 100. So 75 like dance music. Okay. Now our question says, find the ratio of students who said they liked dance music, 75, to the total number of students surveyed, 100. So that would be 75 over 100. Now we have to simplify that. We can divide the top by 25 and the bottom by 25, and we're going to get 3/4. So 3 to 4, 3 colon 4, or 3 over 4. Number 19, write 90 words in 2 minutes as a unit rate. We're comparing words to minutes. And we have 90 words in 2 minutes. A unit rate would mean how many in 1 unit. In this case, it's minutes, so how many in 1 minute. So we have to divide by 2, divide by 2. 90 divided by 2 equals 45. So this would be 45 words in 1 minute. So you could do 45 over 1, or 45 colon 1, or 45 to 1. Question number 20. Mr. Ernester spent $72 for 3 bags of grass seed. How much did he spend on each bag? Okay, so if 3 bags cost $72, how much does 1 bag cost? Well, we can solve this by doing $72 divided by 3. 3 goes into 7 twice. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So he spent $24 per bag. Question 21. A mixture requires 4 cups of water for every 7 cups of flour used. How many cups of water should be used with 28 cups of flour? Here we have a chart, and I can complete the chart by asking myself, what do I have to multiply 7 by to get 28? And that is 4. So I multiply 4 by 4, and I get 16. So for 28 cups of flour, you need 16 cups of water. How many cups of water should be used with 28 cups of flour? 16 cups of water should be used with 28 cups of flour.